Do you want to discover awesome new features in PowerPoint that you probably didn't know existed? I'm the productivity coach, and I've got a friend who can show you how. Hi, I'm Stuart Riddell, the Productivity Coach, and I'm a modern work customer success manager at Microsoft. And I'm joined today by Jo Johnstone, who is an awesome friend and colleague from work, and she's going to show us fantastic things in PowerPoint that we probably didn't know existed. So, Jo, do you want to just give us a little intro to yourself and tell us why you love PowerPoint so much?
Thanks, Stuart. Thanks for the invite. So Jo Johnstone. I'm also a customer success manager at Microsoft. And I look after all things Office 365, but my favorite thing is actually PowerPoint because it gives me the ability to be a bit more creative. There's always tons of cool new features coming into the product, and I get to show off a little bit when I do my presentations.
So I think one of the things is we know that within Teams, for instance, there's loads of new features coming through all the time in Teams, but things like PowerPoint and Word and even Excel, lots of new features still coming through in there. That people don't always know about. So I'd love to see what you're going to show us today.
Brilliant. So I've got 5 things. It was really difficult to just reduce down to those 5 things. There could have been a ton more. So these are my 5 things with a little extra accessibility checker piece at the end that I'm going to whiz you through now. Now, the first one that I've selected is design ideas. We all spend a lot of time putting together our presentations and, just making sure things look aligned, but we could do with making them just look a little cooler, but not having to spend a ton of time. So I'm going to go straight into my slide here. I've pulled an image there. I've got a bit of an icon here. So I'm going to go to design even, and I'm going to click design ideas, and automatically with the power of AI, PowerPoint has gone away and looked at some ways I might want to jazz up my presentation. So there's quite a few things in here that I could choose. This one looks pretty cool. It's taken my text, it's taken my image. If I wanted to add another image in here, so maybe I want to just go to an online image. I could search Bing for something. Let's type in maybe Xbox. Pop that image in there. It's going to look at that and think, actually, how can we incorporate this new image into my presentation slide? So looks really cool. I'm happy with that. But there's other slides that I might need to create that I could do with a bit of help on. So I've got a basic introduction slide here that I'm working on. If I click on design ideas again, it's going to look at different ways it might want to present that back. Now, if I'm not happy with any of these design ideas, I've got the option at the bottom here to select more. But this one's really interesting. You'll see it's taken the words that I've used and given it an image that it thinks might be in line with what I'm trying to portray. So introductions, got handshakes, etc. This is all using artificial intelligence. When you think artificial intelligence, you're often thinking Skynet, robots, all that kind of crazy stuff. But actually, there's artificial intelligence in lots of our tools. And PowerPoint is definitely one of those that showcases it well. So that's, some bullet text there. I've got an agenda slide here. If I go to design ideas, I love the way it presents some of these agendas.
I can see already some of the slides that other people have presented back to me that I've looked at and gone, oh, that's fantastically designed, that slide. How much time must they have spent designing that? I can see that they've just done it with a click of a button.
I'll tell you what I really like about this as well, right? So you see here I've put new gaming release dates. It's looked at the word gaming, and in my ideas that it's given me back, it's considered, what does gaming look like? And here's an icon that might be relevant to my list on the agenda. So some just really cool features in there. So that's design ideas, design ideas. You can switch it off if you want to, if if you're done with that.
That's a massive time saver, because I think a lot of the time people spend a long time picking icons, picking photos, picking layouts and messing about. Awesome. Sorry. So let's...
No,
what have we got for number 2? I'm excited.
It just saves so much time. I don't know how much time I've spent trying to align things before. The next feature I want to talk to you about is translation. Translation, if you're in a global company, or maybe even English isn't your first language, you can easily translate your slides. So if I go to review at the top here and I can go to translate, it's going to open up this box. If I wanted this to be in, I don't know, German, for instance, I'm just going to select that. It's in English at the moment. Or maybe I want it in Arabic because that just looks really cool. I'm just going to press insert and it's going to automatically change that to Arabic. But there's a ton
that's really awesome, that, isn't it? And I think because it uses a lot of the AI features, it's improving all the time. The quality of translation is improving all the time because it's the same stuff that we use for live events, for all of our cognitive services.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just going to pop that back into English, and you'll see through the list here there are just so many different languages you can pick there. But I'm gonna put this all in Welsh. So yeah, I've got my text as I want it maybe, but this slide's not looking very cool to me. So I maybe want to add some images in there. So I'm going to actually go to insert and icons. You'll see there's lots of different options here. I could even add a video in there. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a look through the big list because there are some really cool ones. And every time you hover over them as well, they start showing you what they're going to show. So if I pick this one, for instance, and I click insert, design ideas are going to kick in and make this look a lot cooler for me. Let's go. I'm not really keen on any of those. Let me just open another one. That one looks really good. If I go to slideshow now, let me just see what that's going to look like. So got a bit of a moving image now within my slide, as you saw in my introductory slide. So you just make your slides a little bit more interesting there, just by popping that video in.
And it's really hard to find those kind of subtle images, those subtle videos, that go on the back but aren't really very obtrusive. It's really difficult to find that. So I think for me, just seeing that list and seeing that curated list of kind of subtle backgrounds, like there was one there with wheat waving in the background, etc. That's a massive time saver for me, just for finding kind of resources that I can use that I've got the copyright for.
Exactly, the copyright bit's so important as well. Number 3 is transitions. Now, transitions is one of my favorite things, and it takes little time but absolutely wows your viewers. So if I go into let me look, icons again, maybe I want to chuck in some other images. The good thing I find is in this icons list, which is fairly new, there's so many different images. Now, in the old days, I would have gone to my browser of choice and searched for an image and kind of clip arted it a little bit, and yeah, it wouldn't have looked that great. So icons gives me a lot of those kinds of images that I would have searched for. So if I go to gaming here and I click insert, I can add that image, put it over top of a t-shirt. But I can resize it. I can make it different colors. So I'm just getting a little bit more control without having it being too fiddly. So I'm just going to make these a couple of different colors. And that's another image, and I've just put a Microsoft logo over the top of it. Design Ideas has made it look a little bit cooler. Now, if I want to, in my slideshow, move to another slide, when I do this, it would normally be quite boring. I move to that slide. Not a lot going on there. But we have this thing called transitions. So I'm going to go to my next slide to show you what that's about. So right at the top, transitions, you've got a whole catalogue here of different options to select. Now, definitely go in and have a play, but I just want to point out my favorite, which is morph. So none of this boring move from one slide to another. If I just go back to my slideshow now, and I go onto the next slide, you can see that's just morphed those shapes. AI again is seeing the shapes on the other slide. It's identified those shapes on the next slide and just morph those into place. Now, you'll probably have noticed when I went to insert that next to icons is this new cool feature. I would say it's been there quite a while now, but it's not really used by so many people day to day, but actually it's quite interesting. So if I go to 3D models, I can get 3D models off my device. Maybe, you know, if I work in retail, I've got a planogram of the store or a new product or whatever it may be. But there's also some stock 3D models. So if I go in here and I think I can type in Xbox in here, there's a lot of stuff in here for you to look at. But I could just bring in something like my Xbox controller into my little store here. And maybe I want to give it a little bit of animation. Say I want it to turntable. I want to do it continuously. So now when I go to my slideshow, morphing into the next slide, I've also now got this fantastic 3D image that I can make move around the screen. And if you're showcasing a product, you know, if this was like an Xbox controller or a Surface Pro or something like that, and you want to be able to see where all the buttons are, or, you know, what's the back of the machine look like, is a great way to showcase and just make your presentation is a little bit more interesting as well.
And I love that the 3D models work with morph. So if you've got it so if you have got it static and then you move to the next slide, but you can zoom in, turn, and do whatever, that works just as well. And I could imagine, like where you were just saying about having like a 3D planogram of the store, you could imagine having a slide where you're looking top down on the store and you say, right, okay, let's zoom into the clothing department, and the slide kind of zooms in and maybe rotates or something. And it looks like it would be something that that you'd go to a big design agency to do, but actually you can do it yourself just with PowerPoint.
Yeah, there's lots of really cool things. You could sit and play with this for a long time.
I love morph. It's my favorite transition.
It is. There's a really great one where somebody created a planets presentation.
There's the planet one, and then there's also one with a bike as well, where it shows the parts of the bike coming together. Fantastic.
So cool. The next one I want to talk to you about is live captions. Now, I think most people know I'm a lot more comfortable with captions. If I go to slideshow here, you'll see there's the option of always use subtitles. Now, I usually have this on by default. At the bottom underneath that, you've got subtitle settings. Now, this is going to say what language do I want to have my subtitles in, and where do I want them positioned as well. I've seen people use subtitles before and they've made the mistake of putting the subtitle over the top of their slide. And then if you've got something on that slide that's at the bottom, you can't read it. So I always go to the below slide option. And if I go into, let me just check, I had that in English. I've got it in Greek at the moment. So I would say I'm speaking in English and I want my subtitles in English. But I could change those in the subtitles to be in a different language. I'm going to go to present. Does need the internet for this. So just to highlight that. But you'll see it's picking up my accent now. And I'm hoping that it's going to be pretty good and pick up quite a lot of what I'm saying. It might not be 100%, but if you've got a hearing issue, or you're in a loud room, for instance, you may not be able to hear. You may not be able to hear the presentation. So this could be invaluable to you at that time. I have a colleague that she has hearing loss, and I said, I've got a northern accent. Some of these caption tools, they don't always pick up everything I'm saying. And she said, Jo, if you are in a room and it's really loud and I can't hear you, and I can't hear you anyway because of my hearing loss, if I pick up 30% of what you're saying, that's 30% more than I was going to get before. So these captions, don't be afraid of them. They're definitely really valuable to lots of people.
And we've all been there. If we've been in that big conference room, and people are, there's people muttering and there's lots of noise and things like this. So I absolutely agree that it's absolutely invaluable. I think as long as you've got a good microphone and a good internet connection, then you're definitely setting yourself up for success on this. Yeah,
definitely. And if you wanted to go that step further, there is also the Translate Live feature. And this is another great tool. I think it supports up to about 60 languages. So you can, if you've got a need to be able to broadcast out to people in multiple languages, this could be a great tool for you. So I think we've used it before in our own training sessions, haven't we? And it was pretty successful.
Absolutely, and we can see. I think I did a video previously around the new PowerPoint Live features. If you go through PowerPoint on the web, and that's got a similar thing that's kind of built in there, where you get the slide on top as well as the caption. So yeah, that's great. I think anything we can do to make our content more accessible is really important.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it just helps as well if you've got multiple people in the room all speaking. English isn't their first language. They may not understand some of the jargon that you use as well. I think it helps. So yeah, definitely go and give that a review. And you will notice I say quite a lot. I could really do with getting rid of that in my presentations. So there is a tool that can help me practice when I'm putting together my presentations, so that I'm a little bit more conscious of what I say, the speed that I'm going at. And it's called Rehearse with Coach. So if you go to Slideshow and you go Rehearse with Coach, I'll give you the option to either get some feedback as you're going through your presentation, or just to give you the report at the end. So I'm going to say show real-time feedback as I go through this. So I click start rehearsing. And as I'm talking now, if I keep saying all the time, and eventually it's going to say, look, you're using too many fillers. Don't keep saying, don't keep saying And it just highlights to you all those filler words that you do use. So I'm going to just talk really, really fast. And I'm actually just going to read all the text on this slide, because we've all been there. When somebody reads aloud all the words on the slides, like you don't have the ability to read yourself. And as you can see, it's saying to me, look, maybe you want to summarize your key points. We can all read. We don't need you to read for us. Just going to read this bottom line. It also makes the session really boring when people are reading off slides, and we don't want to get told off by the PowerPoint policeman. Now, that word policeman might be a sensitive word, so that's picked that up, and it said it's not really inclusive. Maybe you should think about using a different word. So I'm going to just end my presentation there, and now it's going to give me a lovely report. What I like about this is it tells you the pace you're going at, and ideally you want to be somewhere in the middle. It gives you a little pace on time. So if you've got a real monotone voice and you're really kind of flat, that's going to just be a really flat line. Tells you what your filler words are, and then sensitive phrases as well. So and then obviously there as well, you don't want to read off the slide. So if you want to know more, there's some options to click in and get more learning on that. But it's a great place to start.
Now that's recently just come into the PowerPoint desktop client, hasn't it? Now I know that not everybody, if you're working in an office environment, not everybody has the latest release of the Office software. If it's maybe like on a semi-annual release or something like this, but you can get to this through PowerPoint on the web, can't you? If you just go to office.com.
Yeah. So the web version's always got the kind of latest releases, hasn't it? So if you want to pop across and have a look at that, it's definitely worth a review. Rather than embarrassing yourself in front of your colleagues and saying, can you just listen to me give this presentation and give me some feedback. So
I just think for people who are nervous about presenting or kind of really want to make sure, obviously you're not going to do this on every presentation that you're doing.
No.
But if there's a really important one or you're really particularly nervous about it, or it's a new subject or something like this is a great way just to give you a little bit more comfort going into that.
Yeah, definitely. And I've got to say the best presentations I've ever given are the ones where I've practiced. And when I know what my opening lines are going to be on each slide, I know the impacts that I'm trying to drive and the outcome that I want to get to. So, just add that into your kind of schedule and your planning for those sessions that you're doing, especially those important ones. Now, they were my top 5, but I just want to finish on, a final tip. Is probably one of the most important. And I'm sure everybody wants to have accessible content. So with most of our 365 tools, we have a feature called Accessibility Checker. It analyzes material and provides recommendations alongside your document, just helping you understand how you can fix your slides so they make them more accessible. So for instance, if you've got images in your slide and you haven't got the correct alternate text, and it's just kind of showing you this now, that means that when somebody's using a screen reader, when it comes to that image, instead of saying this is an image of people sat around a table looking at a laptop, it's just going to say image 1. So it doesn't really give the listener everything they need. So I'm just going to point out where that is. Now, there's a couple of options. I tend to use this one, Accessibility Investigate, just down the bottom here. It's going to give you a load of options to go through and view your content. Check you've got your headers right, check the structure, but also check that alternate text. And if you want to know more information about why these things are important, you can go and click into that area. Some of these images you put in might not be adding a lot of information. So I've got some suggestive alternate text here. If I click that, it's going to point to what that is. Now, if there's needs to be alternate text on here, I can change it and just verify that description even. So that just says a close-up of a logo. I might want that to say PowerPoint logo, because that's going to make more sense. But if it was just there to look pretty and it wasn't adding anything, I could also just mark it as decorative. So yeah, have a look at that accessibility checker. Make sure that your presentations are available to everybody.
I think that mark as decorative is really important, though, isn't it? Because if you, on where your previous slide was, you had your PowerPoint logo that had a grey circle behind you. We want a screen reader to read out the PowerPoint logo, but we don't necessarily want it to read out that there's a grey circle behind it, because that doesn't add any context to that person. So I think, if the one thing that people take away from this, to use the accessibility checker, and they're available in lots of other tools. They're available in Word, etc., and Outlook. Because I think the key thing for me is you might not have an accessibility need, but somebody else might have an accessibility need. So anything that we can do to make somebody else's life a little bit easier is really, really important. Sorry, I think you were just about to tell us where we could find out more information.
Yeah, so if you go to support.microsoft.com, there is a fabulous training page. It's going to make that a little bit bigger for you there. So if you want to know anything about any of the features that you've seen, you'll be able to find it under the PowerPoint training. But if there's anything in 365 that you're interested in, this is a great place to start as well. And it's just keeps you up to date on the new features as well that are coming in, because we do continually add to 365. So, you might not have the feature you want today, but you might find it's there next month. So, yeah. Good luck, and I hope you find that interesting.
Thank you ever so much, Jo. It was really, really interesting. And I think, just to echo one of the points that we said earlier, if you don't have the feature in your desktop client, if you go onto office.com and try the web clients, they do often have a lot of the newer features that get tested there first or released there first before they come into the main desktop client, or your organization might have a rollout for that client, which means that you might not have it yet. So thank you ever so much. Obviously, Jo, people can find you on LinkedIn as well, I'm sure, if they have anything else. So obviously, I release content on LinkedIn and on YouTube. If you want to kind of keep hearing about this content, please go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/productivity coach. Click subscribe, hit the activity bell so you get notified when new content comes in. And then anything you can do to share this out, because I think we've all been in those PowerPoint presentations which have not been quite up to scratch. So if you can share this video out with other people, I think it's a gift to them, but it's also a gift to you as the person who's watching. So please share this content out as well. So hopefully you found this useful, and I'll see you again on another video. Thanks for watching.